Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. My name's Jordan. I'm a dietitian. I work one-on-one with patients for weight loss, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes management. And for today's topic, I wanted to go over something that a lot of people struggle with, which is late night cravings. So many patients, they come to me, they say, my diet during the day, it's perfect. I have such balanced meals. I'm having healthy snacks. I'm listening to my hunger cues. But then the night comes, and that's when pretty much all the foods are calling their name. And you're not alone if you feel this way. It's really common, but as you probably realize, when you're trying to lose weight in a healthy way, this is probably what's hindering you from reaching your goals. As you go to sleep, your metabolism slows down. It's really not good to go to sleep on an empty stomach, and it can kind of affect your sleep quality. So I have 5 tips I wanted to go over to ways to mitigate or decrease your chances of late night snacking. Tip number 1 is making sure that you have a balanced dinner. Some people, when they're trying to lose weight, they might be a little bit restrictive, have really small portions or not have quite as balanced of meals as they probably should be. So you can kind of look back at my previous Instagram or blog posts on ways to have a balanced meal, but I go by the plate method usually because it's filled with fiber, healthy proteins, healthy fats that help make you satisfied, so you're less likely to want to eat later in the evening. So when planning meals out, make sure that you have a protein source. It doesn't have to all be meat. You can have a good vegetarian source, such as beans, tofu, legumes, like a nut-based dinner, or you could have salmon, lean protein, like chicken or eggs. And then making sure that you have something filled with fiber as well. So having your non-starchy vegetables, having whole grains at dinner, those are going to help make you feel fuller. And then also making sure you're getting enough fat, healthy fat specifically, like things from nuts and seeds, or olive oil or avocado, or fish. Those are all really good ways to keep you satisfied and make you feel fuller, so you're less likely to eat something unhealthy later in the evening. Tip number 2 is making sure that you are changing your routine up a bit. Let's say that you like to sit and watch TV in the evening, and every time you sit and watch TV, you're just the chips are calling you or those cookies are calling you. That could just be an association with that behavior. Think of, the Pavlov's law, where you ring the bell and the dog always wants a treat. Humans are kind of similar in that way, where we have to kind of mix up our behavior so we don't end up snacking as much or associating a behavior with snacks. So trying to do something different in the evening, mixing up your routine a bit. For example, you can take your dog on a walk, maybe go to bed earlier, or read a book, or hang out with a spouse, or even scrolling online for people that also struggle with weight loss can be kind of motivational, and mix up your routine a bit so you don't associate one activity with eating. And tip number 3 is mindfulness. I'm always preaching how no foods are off limits. So if you're having a craving, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to completely push it to the side. If it's something you actually really enjoy having and you feel satisfied after eating it, then go ahead and have a portion of it. However, it's good to be mindful about it. Don't have a whole tub of ice cream or just sit in front of the TV and have a whole bag of chips. It's grabbing one portion and maybe eating without distraction, so you can savor each bite and actually feel satisfied and be in the moment when you're eating something. And you enjoy it more that way too. And tip number 4 is keeping triggering foods out of the house. I have had people in the past I work with who they find that some foods end up triggering a binging episode, or they just feel out of control with certain foods. So in this case, no foods are off limits, as I always say, but some foods, it might be best to just not keep them in the house. I know it's hard when you have family who lives with you who might keep things in the house, so you could maybe ask them to hide them, or if you're like craving Oreos, for instance, you can go to the gas station and buy like a tiny package of it or like one piece of candy. But I wouldn't be keeping some of those triggering foods in the house if you feel like you might have like a binging or out of control episode with it. And last but not least, tip number 5 is going to bed earlier. As you stay up later, your hunger hormone ghrelin starts to increase. So it's good to go to sleep and before that starts happening. Many people, if they stay up, to midnight 1, that's when they start feeling hungry again because you had a satisfying dinner, but that starts to wear off. And it's good to go to sleep at a reasonable time so you can really mitigate those late night cravings and snacky times of the day. So maybe you can set a timer for yourself, like around 9:30 or 10 o'clock, be like, this is my bedtime, like start winding down, have a routine set in place. But there's a lot of benefits to getting enough sleep and going to bed earlier. So that could be something you could try to change in your routine to help cut back on late night cravings. So those are my 5 tips for cutting back on late night snacking. I hope everybody is doing well with their healthy eating journey. Please always check in for more healthy tips on my Instagram and blog, but please also reach out if you do have any questions or want any topics for me to talk about in the future. Otherwise, have a good day.